me.
And then yeah,
That's
so I
it.
believe that was actually the
Yeah.
last quick shot that we had for this week. So getting into the main topics, the PS5 has sold more than the Xbox Series X in the first quarter.
Yeah, more than double.
More than double.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
So
I mean, go ahead. Give what you're gonna give.
so
I'll
yeah,
try to
so
look for it.
it was quite obvious that the PS5 was more scarce, that was selling more, but more than double. It's hard to believe because going to stores, the Xbox has still been out of stock everywhere. I don't see it. The Xbox
Right.
Series X, of course. I seen the S, a lot of screenshots, and people are saying that's available at some places, but it's kind of hard to believe that they literally sold double. To me, that's kind of like, did they create double? Did they have more than double stock on hand? Because like I haven't seen Xboxes in stores, so they're all sold out too. So Sony must have done a better job at making more PlayStations available to sell. Obviously, it's more popular too, but that's kind of what came to mind personally.
Yeah. So this was world console hardware sales. So that seeing that, right, and just to give you guys an idea of the numbers, it was 1.31 million for the Xbox Series X and then 2.83 million for the PlayStation 5. So basically what I'm seeing there is I account that largely to the Asian countries. So I'm thinking that the PlayStation sold like hand over fist more than the freaking Xbox in Japan, and all the other places over there, for overseas and stuff,
Yeah.
Europe, everything. Like I think overseas they got a lot of PlayStation
Yes.
sales, and I know that PlayStation is way more popular in Japan than the Xbox is.
Right.
So I think that's where I would accumulate a lot of that, and then like I mean. I was having to race and fight for the PlayStation 5, but as I told you guys, I got my Xbox just like looking at it, waking up that morning, the next morning or whatever, when all that shit was releasing and there was still, systems,
Yeah.
And then, side note, I think I've heard recently that they're starting to allow consoles to just be available, like that you could walk in and purchase if you see it on the shelf,
Nice.
instead of shit strictly being online. So
Yeah.
that's good. Hopefully you guys are lucky enough to, if you haven't gotten one and you'd like one, to be able to go into a Target or something like that or a Walmart and just be able to grab the shit off the shelf if
Yeah.
it's still sitting.
Yeah, I seen pictures on social media about the Xbox Series S. Supposedly that's been at a lot of stores.
I've been seeing the S just sitting quite a bit as far as like online and stuff like that, and hearing about it like quite often,
online,
like
yeah.
just being able to go to GameStop and like an S is there, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? But a lot of people ain't trying to get that S with that half terabyte chalk on there, so
Yeah.
but it's definitely interesting to see to try to find out what powers these sales, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like what is actually the reason why PlayStation is sold more, and this is still with everything being super limited, with them having these shortages of parts and different things like that, and trying to figure out ways around it. Like all of these numbers are still with that, you know what I mean? As many people as wanted a PlayStation and could not get one,
Yeah.
and they still sold double.
Yeah. That's
know,
true.
so.
That's true. I think though, like you were saying, internationally the PlayStation is much more popular in every other country.
Yeah.
The Xbox is pretty, has a lot of fans in North America, but that's pretty much it. When the Xbox launched in Japan, I think it barely maybe sold 100,000 units. And then
I thought for some reason I thought it was like 1,000.
maybe it was.
Like that, but
I
maybe
don't know.
it was
It was in the
100. I'll give 'em the
thousands.
benefit of the
They
doubt.
didn't even hit
100.
million. It was still in the thousands.
Yeah,
it was
yeah.
low. It was low. And then when the Xbox Series X launched, it sold a little bit better than the Xbox One.
Right.
But it was
not
still
by
in
much.
still in the thousands range. It wasn't very much. So
Yeah.
you got a point there. But I wish I knew how much how many PlayStations were created, how many Xboxes were created, because I have a feeling that maybe Sony pumped out more PlayStations altogether than Xbox. But with all these Xbox Series S's we see, maybe that's where all the, maybe they didn't do an even split. Maybe they made more S's than they did X's. Um, you know, so who knows? But I know Phil Spencer did say that the S long term, that would be the better seller just because it's cheaper, more accessible.
Yeah.
But like you're saying with the hard drive, it's a pretty decent value. But for a digital only machine, come on, give us 1 terabyte.
Yeah.
That would be perfect.
I mean, it's not as bad right now with the Xbox and the digital copies that they sell in their store. You know what I mean? I think that they give fairly decent deals, and then
Yeah.
the fact that you have Game Pass, they're not necessarily worried about trying to make you pay full price, but just to be at the mercy of PlayStation, and whenever they decide to make something a sale or whatever,
Yeah.
and you have an all digital console, like I just wouldn't feel comfortable with that. Like I want options, I want to be able to go to Tom from OfferUp and get his used copy or whatever,
or
for
borrow a
lot
copy,
cheaper. Yeah, or borrow one from my friends or something like that, and be able to do that. So it's just going discless just doesn't seem like feasible to me. Like it just doesn't seem logical.
I am gonna get the Xbox One S,
Uh-huh.
and I've been meaning to get one, and I do want them so I can re-up my Game Pass subscription and play all these games,
Right.
because I do miss playing games on my Xbox. It's just I don't think I would buy an Xbox disc. I would buy a PlayStation disc all the time.
Yeah.
But just for Xbox, right now, because they have no exclusives, I mean, Game Pass is literally all you need.
Yeah.
But
well, I mean, all their exclusives would be on Game Pass as well. So yeah. So I see the
that's
it
true.
not being
They're
a necessity for the disc, which is why I say like it doesn't seem like it's as much of a problem to go with an all digital console. But it's just like having that option. You know what I mean? Like if you didn't want to my boy Brahms, shout out to you, Brahms. He like refuses to buy Game Pass. He doesn't believe in Game Pass like that.
So does he have an Xbox?
He does have an Xbox, but I think he's more of a PC guy.
Gotcha.
And he has a PlayStation as well. But I think he has an Xbox One or something like that. But he doesn't want to buy Game Pass because he just doesn't think it's like as good of a value or whatever for as much as you're paying for it. It's pretty pricey. But the fact that we got all these games, he's got a whole bunch of stuff he wants to play on PlayStation. You know what I mean? He'd rather just buy one game and play that, also because his time is a little bit, constricted or whatnot.
Gotcha.
So, so I mean, he's watched a lot of our shows, and we are always talking about Game Pass, but he still is not sold on it just because of the fact that he'll sit there and spend like maybe 4 or 5 months just on one game, So he's probably takes his time with it almost as much as like Anthony would on a PlayStation game or whatever. But Anthony's just really slow.
I love you, me.